Hey everybody, this video is here to answer the question of what is LLMS.txt. Simply put, it's a way for you to make a file to provide all of the content for your website to AI. It makes the content of your website easier for AI to understand so they can work with it, suggest it, understand your website, understand your business, understand your content, and then when people prompt or ask AI things, you can be mentioned correctly, up to date, and potentially more mentioned. In short, all you have to do is create an LLMS.txt file and put it in your root directory. What is the root directory? Your website / LLMS.txt. Let me explain to you the format and let me give you a real example so you can understand exactly what it is. And of course, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. On the right-hand side, you have a structure that this is the base structure you need to create. First of all, you want to have the title of your business or your website. You want to have a description of the website. What does the website or the business do in 1 or 2 sentences? And then you will list every single page of your website, link by link, row by row, and next to every single link, you will have a description of that page and the title of that page. You can take the title tag from the page and the meta description, but if you do a better LLMS.txt, you can have a real summary of that page. That is a much better option. Once you have a list of all of the pages, you need to group them into what they call sections to make sure AI can understand the theme of these pages. For example, you would place in the About Us section all of the company and about pages. If you have an e-commerce site, you would create a section called products and you would place all the products. Maybe the collections or categories can be another section, blog and blog posts can be another, and anything related to your business. The structure of sections is not set, so depending on what kind of business and what kind of website it is, you can decide for yourself. Lastly, all of the less important pages you can put in the optional section. AIs, if they have a limit of space, maybe your website is too big, they will discard the optional or they will put it as less important. Let's look at a real example and get into a little bit more detail. So what I did is I went to oneskills.com/LLMS.txt. You need to put that file in the root directory after the .com. If you cannot place it in the LLMS.txt root directory, you can place it wherever you can on your server or on your platform, and then make sure you have a 301 redirect from /LLMS.txt to wherever your file is. If I scroll all the way up, I'll see the same structure we just saw. The business name, a short description, and all of the pages one by one by one by one grouped into, for example, the About Us section, the Key Resources section, and on and on and on and on. Let me give you an example of a URL and what you can see here. So first of all, I have an article right here, and I have the title of the article, and I have a short description of the article. If I want to understand more, or I want the AI to understand more, I will go to the link. For the URL, you have 2 options. Either you can list the URL that users can go to, for example, the article itself, the HTML that you can see, or you can also create a text file called an MD file or a Markdown file that also takes away all of the clutter, the headers, the pop-ups, the ads, and only provides the content in a text file. An MD file is the preferred way because AIs can understand much easier the full content or the full detail of that page. So consider this as a more advanced and better practice. If you just want to create a basic LLMS.txt, just link to the page right here. If you want to have a full detail of that page, you will create a Markdown page. For example, let me show you how a Markdown looks. And again, it is simple text. It'll have the URL, the title, and the entire description minus all of the information that is not important. For example, header, footers, pop-ups, advertisements, sliders, animations, HTML effects, things like that. In addition to an LLMS.txt file, you should also consider having an LLMS-full file. If you remember on the LLMS.txt, you list all of the pages on the website with a simple description of each page and a link to find more information. But AIs can also read your entire website via an LLMS-full, What you do is you literally put all of the content of each page one by one by one by one in this huge file. If you look here, I list all of my pages and there's a lot of scroll. But if you look at the llms-full.txt, you literally will have the entire content of the entire domain, the entire website here with a much larger scroll. I hope this makes sense for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. And lastly, if you do not have an llms.txt file or you're not sure if yours is correct, check out Hi LLMS tools for both free and paid tools to check LLMS, understand more, understand content and videos like this educational one, and use tools to create your LLMS and further your website connection with AI. Much, much appreciated. Again, if you have any questions, let us know.